All seeing upvote 3. Ladies, what is a dead giveaway that a man watches too much porn when he's in bed with you? I was dating this guy and he was a virgin when we got together. No shame there. But he barely got the basics down, like not hurting me, or after the act don't collapse with your entire body weight onto me because I will fucking suffocate. He was bigger than me and chubby, yet he always wanted to try out more extreme positions and got really upset when I said, "Nah dude, we need to get the basics down first." Then he would sulk and watch porn right next to me in bed and have this look on his face: "Look what you made me do, hell yeah, bitch, I'm not your punching bag." When we broke up he went around, telling people that I didn't put out enough for his taste. My latest update on the guy is, since me he hasn't had one GF and is really upset why nobody will date him. Edit, we were both students in university, he was not an incel, he was half French, just overall a spoiled boy in the body of a grown man. He had an apartment in the same house his parents lived, but they took away his key to their home because he'd sneak in while they were not home and raid the fridge. He was 25. I broke it off after 6 months because prior to that I spent 3 in a toxic relationship, and with this guy now I could feel no warmth nor effort, and I was so afraid to waste more time being with unhealthy people. I'm in a much healthier mind space now. I actually had a girl do this to me. It was a Tinder hookup and things already started off weird when she moaned like a hentai doll at the slightest touch. At one point she asked if we could put on porn, and at this point I was in too deep to leave. She drove me to hers as I didn't have a car at the time. Then later on she put on a very specific hentai porn video and I honestly just wanted to leave, lol. I know this is just gonna piss, ahaha, people off more, but I was 13 and he was 14 when this happened. Person standing, light skin tone emoji modifier female sign. There were quite a few incidents like this in our 3-year-long relationship, and reading what y'all have to say about his actions is a lot to process. I always stayed away from terms like sexual assault and rape, not only to protect him, but because I didn't want to even begin to confront the idea that I'd been a victim to something so scary. But at 19, going on 20, I still have a lot of things I haven't worked through, even though the relationship ended so long ago. These things happened before I was fully developed, and I now realize how fucked that is. Weary face. L. In a similar vein, going from anal directly back to vaginal sex or rubbing fingers, toys, whatever has been up the ass anywhere near the urethra/vagina. Never do that. I don't even know how they do it in porn, possibly by preemptively taking antibiotics or by using very aggressive antibacterial douches, but the E. coli bacteria that live in even the cleanest human ass are no joke. You may very well send your woman to the ER with a vaginal or urinary tract infection from hell. Speaking from experience, because partner wasn't thinking and did such a fun little stunt before I could stop him. A mere 48 hours later I was curled up in pain, running a high fever and straight up pissing blood. Got medical attention just before the infection reached my kidneys. Thinks their dick is God's gift on earth, like right when it enters you you're supposed to have some out-of-world experience. Asks why you aren't coming instead of just trying to ask you what you like. Jackhammer and wondering why you're actually in physical pain from your cervix being probed at an unreasonable pace. They try to do dirty talk but just end up sounding gross and ruining the mood, trying stuff they saw in a porn and finding out the position isn't a good fit for you guys due to the size of you and them. Something that may look hit in the porn you watched may be really awkward when you physically try it out. Slapping the vagina is not fun, it does not feel good. They take it way too seriously. Me and my partner have has laughing fits because of weird noises that can be heard because lots of moving. Sex is much more enjoyable when the person you are with is someone you can be yourself around and that you can joke around with. And I'll say it again, slapping the vagina isn't that hot and it just sounds like you're slapping someone across the face with a fish. Stop it. Foreplay is important for both parties, not just you. You should also care about your partner getting off, not just you getting off. Most men don't realize very few women come from vaginal penetration alone. the clitoris is the most effective, easiest, most enjoyable orgasm. Penetration plus pussy rubbing in a tight circle WA set pace is heavenly. Though I usually can make myself come if I'm on top cowgirl, so it's rubbing. Just please make an effort to gently touch/rub the clit at any time during sex and you're doing better. Also, touch boobs/nipples during sex too, please. Rub your hands down the body, don't just fuck without touching them. And a man can moan a lil too, it's hot. Edit. I'm glad there are people commenting that their partner in particular doesn't like this general advice. We love to see communicating partners. But to the men saying their girl can come with penetration alone, cool. But you still should try adding in the clit. It's a little bundle of nerves that extends into the vaginal canal. It's the tip of an iceberg, that feels out of this world if stimulated honestly, even for 45 seconds at a time. Also, once you notice it, you'd be surprised how many men don't rub their hands all over the women in porn, blocking the camera maybe, but the more skin contact you have, the more oxytocin will be released for both of ya. Getting straight into literally anything, no prep, no lube, no warning. Anal. Stick it right in. Penetration. Stick it right in. Fingers. Stick it right in and try to use his whole hand. This was literally from the one time I experimented with a dude. For fuck's sake, guys, please communicate. Don't just do things because you want to without consideration and consent. A woman's body isn't a toy you can handle any which way you'd like. Most times we know how to get you what you like, and we know the limit of our own bodies. Also, getting us wet? Yeah, that's not a choice. Doesn't matter if it takes too long or you prefer not to do it. Edit. Oh, and breasts aren't meant to be squeezed like rubber balls. Handle them gently unless asked otherwise, and please, for the love of God, don't slap them. I commented this elsewhere, but you might appreciate this story. My BF in high school was a virgin. He asked if we could try anal. I said we could at some point, thinking he knew we'd need lube. He just rammed it in there and couldn't understand why it hurt because he never saw them use lube in porn. So he asked me to grab one of my toys to try on him. I said okay, but I'm not using lube since that's what you did to me. He said he could handle it. I stick the tip of a toy that was smaller than him in there and he screamed. Never asked for anal again. Ha, this. A friend of mine told me she was having a-ons and the guy shouted several times, "Who's your daddy?" while fucking her. Worth pointing out that English isn't the native language of my country. He was from this country, and it's not exactly normal to say that shit around here during sex. She eventually got tired of cringing during sex and turned to him and answered, "His name is Thomas. Why do you want to know who my father is?" It got awkward after that, and apparently he meekly collected his clothes and left right after that. Guy, didn't have sex until I was in my late 20s. I was worried about my lack of experience and the fact that my dick wasn't the size of a porn star's dick. Luckily I had some female friends who convinced me that women don't, usually, actually want a guy to have a huge dick. Then when I finally started having relationships, I found that all the bullshit I had learned from 1989 screwball comedies and porn wasn't true. Especially that it was hard to make women come. All I really had to do was pay attention to my partner. Now this only works if your partner isn't faking, but as far as I know my partners never have. The only time I ever tried to have sex on the first date was on my first date with my wife. I got nervous because while I really liked her, I didn't really know her yet. The nervousness translates into I couldn't keep it up. It was a nightmare. She got really disappointed and clearly thought we were done. I told her we could do other things and asked if she wanted me to go down on her. She really appreciated that I wanted her to have a good time. Second date we had pretty good sex together. Moral of all these stories: pay attention, don't be selfish, and you'll be fine. I don't know, I live in a place where public transport and my bike can get me pretty much anywhere I need to be. Why would I want the extra cost and hassle of owning a car? Also, I fucking hate driving. It's annoying, uncomfortable, and stressful. And people who just don't want or like to have sex are completely valid and should in no way be made to feel bad about it. I'm not taking about asexual people, you realize that, right? They're a really small minority. The comment I replied to didn't give that vibe at all. So, people who don't like or want sex is neither here nor there. I'm responding from the place of being someone who was a virgin for a long time, because I was intimidated by all the build-up around sex. Besides all that, saying, essentially, don't be too scared to try it is even remotely trying to make someone feel bad is really a stretch. If I want to go for a bicycle ride, I make sure I'm wearing comfortable clothes, appropriate shoes, and a helmet. Usually input on sunscreen and mosquito repellent. I carry water because it's hot AF outside. If I go on a bike ride with a friend, we constantly talk about road hazards or traffic or are we turning now. If my friend gets overheated and isn't feeling well, we talk and agree to do something else. If we're having a great time, maybe we ride a bit longer. Sometimes we eat pancakes after a ride and sometimes we go for tacos. Sex isn't much different. You and a friend are going to do an activity together, you use the right kind of protective gear, condom/lube instead of helmet/sunscreen, you talk to each other to make sure they want to ride/still want to ride, consent, that they're having a good time, fun, that they physically feel okay, safety/pleasure, and afterwards cuddle a bit and maybe eat some tacos or pancakes. It's a specific type of physical activity with friends, is all. Porn is really exaggerated. Take fingering for example. They always go really fucking hard. Now imagine someone jacking you off, but instead of stroking it, they're pulling/pushing it as hard as they can, like they're trying to rip your foreskin off. That's how that's going to feel if you do it to your girlfriend like they do it in porn. You start off slow. You can, and probably will have to, go fast eventually, just don't do it hard. Also, listen to her. If she tells you faster, you go faster. If she tells you keep going, you keep doing exactly what you're doing, not faster, slower, harder, softer, etc. One thing that I've not seen mentioned in this thread that's probably worth considering well before you're in the room is what kind of sensations get you off. The majority of guys I've been with really had issues finishing with anything but their own hand. I believe the term is death grip. Basically, they got used to jacking themselves off really hard, and that's just not a sensation a vagina can replicate. Made them feel bad, made me feel bad, all around not a good time. So experiment. If you think you're gripping pretty hard, slacken off. Try fleshlights as well. Go for it with condoms on. So that when it comes down to it, you're actually used to the sensation. If you're still up for random input, I learned in my mid-20s, when I had a stable partner and we had done all the sex, a very slow sex. You put it in, and move it ever so slightly, the minimal movement allows her to really feel the dick and makes her that much more hornier. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to test this with multiple partners as a means to back up my method. All I know is that my current partner enjoys it, we come most of the times and she's marrying me, so it definitely works for her, keeping in mind that some ladies might think it's boring or whatever. Something I never see mentioned is that women can be bad at sex too. It isn't just the guy's responsibility to make the sex good. It's a dance, and expecting one person to be good enough to make the other person not dancing have a good time is unreasonable. Also, it's okay to be bad at sex. It's like anything else. Some people are naturals at things and some people need tons of practice to get anywhere. Will it be awkward if you have sex with someone you don't know well and it's bad? Sure, but hey, you did something right to get that far at least. Explore their body. Lightly touch her arms, her legs. Soft, gentle kisses and light tongue play. Look for verbal and nonverbal cues. Is she touching you back? Is she lightly closing her eyes? Breathing heavily? Usually good signs. Enjoy it. Take your time. Intimacy is something that is to the benefit of both of you, and if it's done right can enhance the relationship immensely. There is nothing wrong with being a gentle, tender partner, but you also have to be aware. Talk with each other. Ask her to show you how she likes to be touched. Every woman is different and you want to know what she likes and go from there. Look up tantric masculinity and femininity, or what that school of thought deems to be healthy masculine and feminine. Our society has such a warped idea about what masculinity really is, which is what most comments here are lamenting, and rightly so. It's not about being a big alpha dog and asserting dominance over everyone, either inside or outside the bedroom. It's about the energy you bring, not the technique. That's just my perception, you have to form your own. A side note on communication. The hidden implication is that it can take a few times with one person before you find your rhythm as a couple. There are definitely people with whom you will have better, and worse, sexual compatibility, but the first time you touch each other not everything is guaranteed to fall into place or feel 100% natural, whatever the hell that means. Communicate doesn't mean only to talk and pay attention to their signals during sex, but also outside of sex you can talk about what works and what doesn't work for each other. That means your sexual synergy can grow with time as you get to know each other better. Part of the journey is getting to know yourself better, too. Not everyone knows immediately what works best for them, and experimenting with a partner you trust can help you find that. It's probably going to be awkward and maybe a bit uncomfortable your first time. It can still feel great, but don't build it up in your head to expect this big romantic, animalistic fuckfay. As others are noting, yes, communicate and listen to your partner. But I'll add a slightly different take to: don't discount your own needs/wants and forego your own pleasure just to make the woman happy. It's supposed to be give and take. I've personally had experiences where things have been great for her, but mediocre for me because I'd not been clear enough in telling my partner what I needed, or they just didn't care. Can easily happen, especially when you realize women often climax best/easiest from non-PIV sex, i.e. going down, stimulating other areas, etc. So I've ended up getting some partners off routinely, and then they just say they're too exhausted to do anything else. Or they offer to reciprocate, but after less than 1 minute they start saying I take too long to get off, and implying there's something wrong with me if I can't orgasm immediately. That sort of thing is just as bad when the woman does it, and isn't exclusive to guys, as you might think reading the comments in this thread. Yup, you already got the gist of what everyone is saying, so I'll provide an amusing reinforcing fun fact: even before porn shoots the actors describe do's and don'ts. Paid naked people aren't just down for anything because there's a paycheck. If someone doesn't want their something touched, poked, or prodded, or something said or done, that's off the table, and actors who don't respect those boundaries don't work for long. Same things goes for relationships and hookups. Discuss boundaries, know that it's completely normal for boundaries to change. Actually I don't like when we/you do dash or I want to try dash, and don't treat boundaries as suggestions. Literally dude. I've got a lot of confidence, and I've never failed to bring a woman to orgasm, but none of it happens without communication. Not just words either. Watch their body, their movements, their facial expressions, listen to their breathing, all of that. It sounds like you're analyzing them, but just start with one thing at a time. Do some oral, do some hand work, do some slow body kissing, then sporadic, gentle biting. Test out the simple, light things. They often communicate what they enjoy, just not always verbally. The really shitty thing is when they're hard to read, so don't be embarrassed to ask questions. Some women are afraid to communicate like that because they've had shitty partners in the past, or they're just shy with new people. Sex is supposed to be fun, we're not doing it for the survival of the species anymore. Enjoy it, and don't let speed bumps annoy you. It's all part of the ride. Don't take sex advice from women. Women like to say all these things about sex, what they like, how you should go about the process, etc. In the moment all those things go out the window. Sex is not something to be micromanaged. It's not something that you talk over every detail beforehand. Sex is raw and passionate and should happen that way. Sure, you can learn things over time or communicate, but talking about everything takes away the excitement of sex and she will probably lose interest before it even happens. One thing you got to understand about pleasing a woman is that every woman is different and wants to be pleased differently. Honestly, at least 90% of the things women are complaining about in here, I totally enjoy and am shocked they don't like it. I come from it. Like pressing a clit like a doorbell, instant amazing orgasms for me and they hate it? Fingers in first? Hell yeah for me. Start with that and then move to the clit. Awesome for me. So I feel like an alien. But fortunately I am with my sexual compatibility who does everything I like. And that is the most important thing. I probably almost never had terrible sex in my life. Generally I tell the man what I love in bed, the man executes. Sex is great. What's terrible for me might be heaven to another woman. I hate receiving cunningly ooze, for example. Find somebody who likes sex the way you like it. Don't bother about what other people like or don't like because each human has vastly different preferences in sex and there is no one united way. Also, positions in porn are designed to look good on camera and present the naughty bits for the audience. 90% of them feel terrible during real sex. There's nothing wrong with the classics, missionary, cowgirl, doggy. Also, foreplay. Lots of foreplay. When you think you've done enough foreplay, you haven't. Ask your partner if they're ready. But mostly, just have fun. Sex is sweaty and awkward and goofy and weirdly intimate. Your body will excrete things and make noises that they edit out of porn. It's normal and natural. Don't try to be all super serious. Just do what feels good for everyone. I see a lot of comments about communication and talking to your partner. While they are mostly true and good advice, don't forget that communication implies listening too. Listen to her, assuming her, but works for him as well. Demand, listen to her breathing, big clue that you're doing right, be aware of her body twitching or her muscles contracting. If you're a good listener, you'll be a good sex partner, and you will be paid back for it. Insert kinky wink here. Edit, oh, and nature gave you 10 fingers, lips, and a tongue. Not just a dick. Be smart, especially when you obviously know that any of these will last longer than your dick. Thinks he can do a lot of things without asking first. I once had a guy slap my face in the middle of it, not hard, it didn't hurt but I hated it, and a few guys started putting their hand on my throat. Always ask before. Don't do these things without knowing if your partner is into it. In fact, when you're with someone for the first time and didn't talk about what they like before, ask before doing anything even if it seems like a very vanilla thing for you, you never know who might have a traumatic experience. Plus it's kinda hot when someone whispers, "Can I do this?" Or "Do you want me to do that?" to you.